Hello, welcome to Limb Evolution. My name is Jason and I'm here to explain why I created Limb Evolution. First, a little bit about myself. I'm 31 years old. I'm a right above knee amputee. I've been an amputee now for about 16 years. I had a motor vehicle accident when I was 9 years old, but I'll explain a little bit further in that later in the video. I am also a prosthetic and orthotic technician. I've been making prosthetics and orthotics for about 12 years now. I'm ready to move forward in my career. I've been accepted to do my Masters in Prosthetics and Orthotics over in La Trobe University in Melbourne, Victoria, next year. So basically, once I get my degree, I will become a prosthetist. The difference between a prosthetist and a technician is that a prosthetist is a health professional. They have more interaction with the patient. Basically what they do is they make a mold of the residual limb. Basically once the mold has been created, and it's then my job to fill it with plaster and stick a mandrel in it and basically create a cast. And once the cast has been made and set, the prosthetist then modifies the cast. And as a technician, once the cast has been modified, the prosthetist hands me the cast, and therefore I make a check socket. What is a check socket? This is a check socket. This is basically what I do all day. I make this. This is basically, the prosthetist gives me the cast, and this is just a big square plastic. It's about 2 centimeters thick. And I put it in an oven and it starts to melt, and then I basically pour it over to the cast and then I suction it, and basically it creates this, and it dries and it's hard. It's not a definitive socket, it's just basically, it's a check socket. The prosthetist then puts this onto the patient, and if the patient's happy with it and they're walking really well, then the next step is the socket. And this is also what I do all day. I laminate sockets. See, this is draping. You drape plastic over the cast and suction it, and it creates a temporary mold. But it's not strong. If you were to drop that, it will shatter. But this is made out of carbon fiber. You could run this over in a car and it would not break. But don't take my word for that. It's pretty strong. This is what I do all day. I make these. I do the alignment, I assemble it, and once it's all done, and then I hand it to the prosthetist, and then the prosthetist does more adjustments to it, and then the patient walks out and happy. And I love that. I love that. I love being able to make artificial legs for people. I love people coming in wheelchairs, and I love them seeing walk out. I love working on my own prosthesis. That's just amazing feeling to be able to have some sort of say and create something that helps me. It's just amazing feeling, and the fact that I'm going to help people in the future, create their sockets for them, I just think I'm absolutely blessed. Another part of my job is I speak to patients. I love that part of my job. That's my passion. I like sharing my experiences. I like just basically demonstrating what I can do with my prosthesis. I go upstairs, I go downstairs. I try and answer to my best of my abilities the questions they have, and to me that comes naturally to me. I don't struggle with that, and that's probably one of the best things about my job. I also volunteer for an organization called Limbs for Life. They do great things, and basically what I do with them is I get sent on hospital visits, and I speak to people who are about to have an amputation or who just had an amputation. And what I do there is I just share my experiences. I talk to them and explain to them about my experiences as a user of prosthetics. And I try and give them hope that this isn't the end, that this is just, things have just merely changed, and try to my best of my ability to help guide them to this next this next transition in their life, basically, because from my experiences, I know what it's like. When I was in Princess Margaret Hospital, it was tough. I had to decide right there and then what my life was going to be. And when I decided to become an amputee, it all changed. It was basically, I was helped tremendously, and I can't thank the people at Princess Margaret Hospital, all the health professionals, everyone that helped me become the person I am today. And that's why I'm doing this. I want to help many people as in the same situation that I was in when I was 15 years old. I guess I should explain what happened to me. When I was 9 years old, I had a motor vehicle accident. I was ran over by a mobile crane, and it happened in a little town called Leonora over in WA. It was just a little mining town, just about 250 kilometers up north from Kalgoorlie. Basically, one day I was riding my old BMX bike with my friends in a vacant block, and basically what happened was I was riding my bike and then there was a footpath. It's hard to explain. I'm going to try and draw it. So basically, this here was a vacant block. There was just nothing in there. It was just dirt. And then here was a footpath. And then here was a main road. Basically, trucks would always come here, always, just relentless, constantly coming this way. And in the vacant block, there was a fence, like a tall fence. You couldn't see over it. Basically, what I was doing with my friends, I was riding my bike, riding it, and as I came on onto the footpath, the crane had come onto the footpath and he was stationed there. And as that happened, we just collided. I had no time. Once I came out from the fence, my first reaction was to push back on my brake, because it's an old style BMX. And basically what happened then was the bike jackknife. It just jackknife, and what happened then was I just sort of slid under the wheels, because again it was on dirt, and I just slid right under the wheels. I was very fortunate to do that, because if I didn't do that I would have gone straight in and I would have just been completely annihilated by the crane. So it was smart thinking for me to hit the brakes when I did. Then what happened then was basically I sort of woke up a little bit and realized, I couldn't hear anything. I couldn't hear anything. All I could hear was just whoop, 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 whoop. And I was just sort of like, then I realized, and I looked up, and then what I remember was I had this big, massive wheel next to my torso. I don't know how. I must have hit it, and I must have flung, and I was like heading in towards the crane, and into the crane a bit more further. And then as I looked, I saw this big, massive wheel right near my torso, and I thought to myself, I'm underneath the crane, and that's what I could hear, that engine, like that whoop, 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 because I knew I've been, like I said, I grew up in a mining town. I knew what it was like when people left their trucks on. It was just constantly, it was just always like revving. And then I thought, oh my God, I'm underneath the truck. And I basically thought to myself, oh no, like if he moves forward, he's going to run over my chest. And then basically, I knew something that wasn't right. I knew something was like, something was seriously wrong. And then basically what I did was, I was laying on the ground, I looked at the tire, and then I basically propped myself up to sort of see my legs. And as I propped myself up, I couldn't believe how much blood there was. It was just pulling and pulling and pulling out of me. I could not distinguish what was my legs or mud, because like I said, it happened on dirt, and it was just, it was nothing like I've never seen before. I've never seen that much blood, and I knew I was messed up. I knew that this was serious, and I wasn't panicking. I was in shock, and I basically, what I did was, it's amazing how I still could think. I didn't lay back down, because if I did that, then if he would have moved forward, he would have ran me over, ran my chest over. So basically what I did is I propped myself up, and then I went to my side, and as I did that, I remember just my face being in the dirt, and then I could just see the blood just taking over me. That thought, my first thought, being 9 years old, was, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. There's no coming back from this. But luckily, my friends that are with me, they got help. And then what I remember was, I had gathered, there was a big crowd of people around me. They didn't go nowhere near me, because I was seriously messed up. They didn't know what to do. I was still with it. I can remember everything about it. I remember just like asking, where's the ambulance coming? When's the ambulance coming? And there was a woman with me. She was sort of comforting me, telling me that the ambulance is coming. Don't worry, the ambulance is coming. And I remember this, and again, like I said, it created a big crowd. I remember my mum crying, and I remember my dad just getting angry and upset because his son was he was dying on the ground, and there's nothing that he could do. And basically, I was lucky that the ambulance came, and they didn't know what to do. They didn't know what was my legs or what was, they couldn't. It was just so much blood and mixed in with dirt. So what they did was they got a sheet underneath me, and they picked me up and onto the stretcher. Leonora being a small mining town, their hospital wasn't prepared for such an emergency. So you can imagine they were stretched. And another thing I remember, one of the last things I remember, I'll never forget it. I was in a room. There was probably about 20 people, including my mum and my dad. And the doctor gave just bottles and bottles and bottles to anyone that was in the room of betadine. And what they did was they just poured betadine all over me. I remember just everyone just pouring betadine and just washing all the rocks and all the dirt and everything. And then I remember everyone in the room had tweezers and just tweezers to pick out rocks out of my leg. And that's the last thing I remember. I was seeing the face of my mum and my dad, and the fear. They were more afraid than I was. They were picking rocks out of my leg, and it was. I'll never forget that. And that's when that was it. I had lost so much blood. I just passed out. And then that was it. The last thing I remember seeing was my mum and my dad, and they were just so afraid. And but I survived. I have no idea how I survived that. I'm telling you, man. Both legs were severely crushed. My left leg was okay. That leg was ran over first. So basically, I have a bit of a scar there, and my foot was broken, and the skin sort of flapped out. But my right leg got ran over second. So when the wheels started to slow down, that's the one that really got crushed. And yeah, beyond repair. My leg was beyond repair. Anyway, I remember waking up and my mum and my dad were telling me that my first thought was, how are my legs? And they sort of said, your left leg's fine, it's just broken, but your right leg, it's severely crushed. I had lost my knee, I couldn't bend it, it was completely fused, and yeah, there was nothing they could do to save it. But they managed to save it. They managed to put fixators in there, like massive pins, and into hoping that would help it stay together, because there was no bones in between it. Like, I had a foot, but everything but like below my knee, above the knee, down, and it was just completely destroyed. But for some reason the doctors thought they could reconstruct the leg. So that was it. I spent so long in hospital, and the doctors had a field day with me. They did all sorts of operations, they did all sorts of things. They took muscle from my back, they took bone from my hip, they took nerve endings from my other leg, they took heaps of skin grafts. Lots of skin grafts on the back of my leg, on top of my leg, on my buttocks. They just had a field day. And I can't believe they dragged it out for so long. And I understand that they were trying to save the leg, and they were trying to, and in my mind, being a kid, it was like, oh my God, I still have a leg. They're saving it. They're gonna fix it. But it took me until I was 15 to realize that it was gone. There's no way you could save that leg. And I made a decision when I was 15 years old to amputate the leg. The main problem was, after the accident, my leg didn't grow. It stopped growing, and it lost a lot of skin and bone and muscle. And the other problem was, it didn't bend. I couldn't bend my leg. Basically, this was what the result after my accident. After 6 years in hospital, the doctors could manage to do this. That's the best that they could do. Basically, this was what I had to wear every single day just to protect it, because it was severely weak. You can hard to sort of distinguish, but the problem was, again, I didn't grow. So I was 15 years old, and basically I had to, every couple of months or every year I had to extend this part. And I was 15, I would have stopped growing when I was 18, so you could imagine this would have been quite big. And you can see that this is pretty thin compared to a normal leg. And then basically I put this and that on top of it, and it just sort of acts, just gives it some strength. I wore this for years, and it wasn't getting any better. See, the problem was, it couldn't bend. That's the problem. So basically, I had to walk with crutches all the time, and you can imagine, this wasn't the solution. And what happened was, the doctors had they told me, they wanted my leg to get strengthened. So basically what they said is, take this off and just wear this. And as I did as they said. But what happened was, I just misplaced my step. It was a step no big, about that much. And as I missed it, fell, and then right here, it just snapped. And my leg just turned into spaghetti. It was just like, it was horrendous. It was just so much pain. I couldn't take it anymore. And I was back at Leonora Hospital, and that's when I decided there had to be a better way. There had to be something that was more functional, something that was more strong, something that wouldn't break so easily. And because at that time, the doctors, to fix the leg length discrepancy, was to put more pins and fixators through my skin, and like a big like circle around it and pins going all the way through, and then each day stretch the leg, like continually keep stretching it. I would have stopped growing. I was 15, I would have been 16, I would have been, another 5 more years of in the hospital, and that would just fix this part, So I would have a leg that's completely straight, but even with my other leg. When I was laying in hospital, I knew there had to be a better way, and that's when I chose prosthetics. That's when I thought, my mum and dad, they never forced me into it. They just sort of said, look, Jason, you can have an amputation and start again. And always like, nah, I always had in the back of my mind that, no, the doctors said they're going to reconstruct my leg. But when I broke my leg, I realized the pain wasn't worth it. No, the pain wasn't worth it. I had to go down a different road, and that's when I chose prosthetics, and I've never looked back since. I love prosthetics. Like I said, I love talking about it. I love wearing my prosthetic. It's given me so much freedom. It's given me so much mobility. I can do anything I can do before, but just a little bit different. I'm amazed at what I can do. Like I said before, recently I'm now running, and I think to me, that's something I've always wanted to do, and I'm doing that. And I think that's awesome, and that's why I want to share that experiences with you. Soon I'm going to upload my first video of me running for the first time. It's a really good one. I didn't know what I was doing, but I had so much fun doing it. That's why I created Limb Evolution, to share my story and my passion for prosthetics. And I hope that you'll develop it. I hope you watch these and, you'll learn to love it as much as I do. Because when I was 15, I would have loved to have seen all this. I would have loved to have seen someone who's confident, someone who loves prosthetics, That's the difference between when I go see patients at my work. The difference between them and me is that, I've been very fortunate. I chose to become an amputee, and I love the fact that I am a person with an amputation and who's chosen prosthetics, and I think that's just amazing. But the majority of my patients that I've seen don't have that choice. They don't have that luxury, and I feel for them. I really do. I don't know. For me, it's something liberating. It's something I chose. I remember the first thing I remember when I had the operation, I woke up and my mum was there, and I sort of said, "Is it off?" And my mum said, "Yes, you're an amputee now." And I'm like, "Good." And I went back to sleep, and I just dreamed of my success in prosthetics. I literally, when I decided to become an amputee, I just visualized myself wearing a prosthesis. What would it be like? Just visualizing it. And everything I visualized, it hasn't been easy, but it's come to fruition. I can't believe that. And I hope that this channel can help you as much as it's helping me, because when I'm recording myself, I'm getting better and better and better. So I hope you click subscribe and like this video and share it with your friends, and I hope that we can talk through the comments, and you can say if you want me to do a video on something, I'll be happy to do a video.